everybody. I'm Dee Clarke with the Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center. I manage our travel program amongst other duties, and I'm here today with Audree Scott. Audree is a longtime member and she travels with us often. Yes. Hello, Audree.
Hi,
Nice
Dee.
to see you.
Good to see you again. It's been a long time.
It has.
With the breakdown.
It has. So can you tell us about some of the trips that you've taken with the Senior Center?
Yes. First, I'd like to mention trips that I took with my husband before he passed away, all local. Those were like to Seattle, to the aquarium, to the dam up in the Methow. There was a farm place. I don't think they were Mennonites.
Oh, right. Yeah, over at Soap Lake.
Right, and
yes.
The glass factory.
Yes.
Pike's Market.
Yep.
There was another one that we went to at night that was like in a tennis or a tent, circus tent type thing.
Yeah.
With a dinner. I can't remember the name.
Oh, Tetros in Zanny.
Yes.
Yes. Wasn't that fun?
Yes. The big trips, the first one was, I believe, in 2017.
Yes.
And that was to the Rhine River.
Yes.
On the Viking longboat Altuna.
Yes.
And that was so much fun.
Right.
We had so much fun with the crew and the entertainer, guide. Yes,
our program director on that cruise, his name was Nick. He was a hoot, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. He met us with horns on his head and wooden shoes and...
Right. And long blonde braids. Depending on the city we stopped in, his costume changed.
Yes.
One day when we woke up and we were in Strasbourg, France, that's where the storks.
Yes.
Summer there.
Yes.
And he had a stork on his head.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was such beautiful country.
Yes.
Oh, it was so, the river and, we saw a lot of castles.
Yes, a lot of castles, yes.
And good ones. I mean, they were very, very old, but interesting things in them. And my special thing, since I lost a brother in the Second World War and is buried in France, we got to go on a tour to the monument of the Battle of the Bulge.
Right.
We went to the place where Audie Murphy held off the Germans and saved a village.
Right. That's in Colmar, correct?
Yes.
Colmar, France.
Yeah. And what was the other? There was another, and going into Strasbourg. That was where I lost my brother, was almost toward the end of the war. But I got to see those things, and something about the people on the boat. I had tried to go to Lorraine, France, to my brother's grave.
Right.
They would not let me go.
Right.
They said it was because things that were happening in France, that me being alone, I could not rent a car to go. It would be 2 or 3 hours. And they just absolutely would not let me go.
Correct.
And but they did help me by being able to send flowers, which cost which was going to cost me $98 U.S. money.
Yeah.
But when I took my bill up at the end and wanted to pay it, it wasn't on my bill, and I asked the guy at the desk how I need to pay for those flowers, and he took hold of my hand and he says, "No, ma'am, we did it."
Wasn't that so special of them?
Well, I almost cried.
Yes.
Yes. But it was a beautiful trip.
Yeah.
And I would advise anybody who likes to travel to travel with you and Norma Jean anywhere they would want to go.
Oh, well, thank you. We do have fun, don't we?
You have fun, and I've never felt so taken care of or know that you're going to get me there.
And home again.
And home again, yes. You guys took care of so many things and always had your eye out for everybody.
Yeah.
Of course, there was a couple of men that came along that seemed to howl every once in a while when they were following the laggers. that made it more fun also.
Right. We're just have become one big happy group on family,
it's
really,
fun.
on these trips.
And everybody kind of looks after each other.
We do, yeah.
And one thing I'd like to say about Norma Jean, in my case, she has been wonderful about teaming me up with another lady to share a cabin or what to travel with.
Right.
And let's see, that was 17. In 2018, we went to, now I might have to look at my notes. That was Scotland.
Yes.
Now, Scotland is a little bit harder trip because it was all by bus, but we saw such wonderful things. One of them was that Orkney Island, where we saw the underground houses.
Oh, yeah, Scarborough.
Yeah,
yes.
Right. I couldn't remember the name of that. And that the old castle at the end there was really, really medieval. Really old castle. And it ended up being seen in the Second World War with submarines coming in there.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm. And to me, the highlight, and the dogs and the sheep. We went to a ranch where they have all of the dogs and the herds of sheep, and they got those dogs out there. They brought a whole herd in. They moved them around, and the puppies wanted to go so bad, but they didn't let them.
That was fascinating. What I found most fascinating about that stop was that each dog has its own commands.
Yes.
And each dog knows what each of those commands means.
That's right.
Yeah, it was just amazing to watch those dogs work.
Yeah. And I bought one of their little books.
Yeah.
It was a kid's book, but it was really nice. The other big highlight of Scotland was in Edinburgh when we went to the castle and saw the tattoo.
Oh, yes. Everybody mentions seeing the Royal Military Tattoo. I think it has a really long name. I think
it's military because military from all over the world was there,
right,
in their kilts and with their music, with the drums and the pipes. To me, every one of them was different. The way they marched in. And did their little deals, and they all blended. They went this way and that way and this way, but they always ended up back where they were supposed to be. But the highlight to me was toward the end when big blowing of horns, and out comes from this end is this man with a turban on this beautiful horse with all his leather has gold all over it, and on each side of him is a guard on a horse, and it was the Omar of Benai.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how you pronounce it. And behind him there were women on these horses with the drums.
Yes.
In their laps as they're riding the horses.
Yes.
And behind them are more men on these beautiful horses blowing the pipes. It was, and those horses were just absolutely gorgeous. Of course, I'm a horse person. But it was above and beyond anything that I'd ever seen anywhere, I think. because they treated him like royalty.
Yes, they did. They did.
And when I got home, a dear friend says, "Oh, he'd been in Scotland, but he never got to see a tattoo."
Oh.
So, but that was great. And we had great flights, different airlines.
Mm-hmm.
And now in 2018, after we got home, then in November, I believe it was, there was a bunch of us went to San Antonio, Texas.
Yes, that was fun too,
That was
wasn't
fun. We did the river walk, and we went on a bus to Dallas and saw the presidential library, and we got to go to LBJ's ranch.
Yep.
And see, what else to do? Well, I got to see 3 of my nieces.
Oh, that's right.
Met me there.
That's right. We had some other people that met family when we were in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just a great trip. It was pretty. It was, a nice time of the year.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in 2019, we went on the big trip.
Which big trip is that?
Well, that was the one where we went Icelandic Air.
Right.
Stopped in Iceland.
Yes. The only time I've been to Iceland.
Me too. Well, we got to go twice, though.
That's true.
Yeah. And then we flew from there to Copenhagen, stayed overnight, and looked all around. And then the next day got on the Regal Princess cruise line.
Mm-hmm.
And we went first to Sweden.
Yes.
And then to Finland, and then to, I believe, Norway? Well, we went to Norway anyhow. Yeah. We went to St. Petersburg, Russia.
Yes.
Which just blew my mind away.
Yeah.
All the colors. And we went to another little place kind of coming back toward Germany. I can't remember the name of it.
Is that Tallinn?
Tallinn,
Estonia?
Yeah. Tallinn, Estonia. And then to Germany, and I can't pronounce that name. It starts with a W. A lot of people went to Berlin.
Right.
But I was with Creta at that time. And instead we went on an old train out through all of the area that was just absolutely beautiful, where they grew grain and had cattle and stuff, which showed the German countryside and stuff.
Yeah.
And then back to Copenhagen and flew back to Iceland again. And that time, though, well, when we saw so many other cruise ships during that whole time, and there were so many people coming off of cruise ships that were in Iceland at the airport that it was rather uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
Another thing that kind of got me was the route we took when we flew. We didn't take off across New York. We went up over Greenland.
Right, up over the polar ice cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was really interesting.
Yeah.
And you could see Nova Scotia and a lot of those places.
Yeah.
One of the things in Sweden is when we got to see that huge ship.
Yeah, the Vasa.
Yes.
The Vasa.
Yes.
Yeah, very interesting story about that ship.
And it was so huge.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
And then we got to see the other ship that sunk, and they pulled back up out of the, and that was in, can't remember. I have a picture of that, or a hot plate kind of a thing.
Right,
that has that. And that ship had to have been 4 stories high.
Yeah.
Because where we were at, you could barely see under the rim when you were looking up of the rail. That's what we were seeing down here, unless you went up the 2nd story so you could see the mast and all of that stuff.
Right.
So
yeah.
That's
the ship that sailed for once it was launched, it sailed for 2 miles in the harbor and then it sank.
And it sank. It sank, yeah. And it has been there since, well, that was back in the 1800s, I believe, or 1700s.
Yeah.
And it's been there all that time, and it's only been the last few years that they brought it up, and they've tried to, it's preserved.
Yeah.
Of course, they had to do stuff to it, but
Yeah.
the art on all of those old ships like that was really something to see. So that was the big trip. So I think that's probably about it, but I would say anybody that's interested in history or traveling to other countries, go with the seniors.
We're not just a bunch of old people.
No, and they're very lively.
Yes.
And they do not go to bed early.
Oh, no.
Because on the ships, when you go, they always have theater.
Yes.
They always have theater, and it's always worth going to.
Mm-hmm.
During the day, if you don't want to go ashore, they have all kinds of different things going on. There's games, or they have talks on different subjects.
Right.
About the ocean or anything you're interested in.
Cooking classes. I
Classes.
sat in on some cooking classes.
Yes, there were cooking classes, and they just did so many things. Always had something to do. There was also a casino for the people that was interested in gambling, if they had any money left.
Right.
And there's also shopping.
Yes.
The ships have a great shop.
Right.
Actually, too good a one, because they got things that you shouldn't buy, but you do.
I know. That's where you can find me, is shopping.
Yeah.
Shh, don't tell my husband.
Right. The other thing is when you go on shore, no matter where you go,
They're shopping.
they're shopping.
Yeah.
And they want to sell stuff because that's how they make their money.
Right, right.
Another really interesting thing is going through customs.
It is interesting, isn't it? Yes.
But also there are you and Norma Jean making sure we all get through just fine. The only place I saw any customs person who were not friendly was Russia.
Russia.
And that was
Yeah.
glaring at you. But the people inside were nice.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Well, Audrey, thank you so much for stopping by today and visiting with me and telling everybody about some of our trips, and what a good time we have.
Oh, we had so much fun, and thank you for inviting me, because you know I love to talk, and it brings back all the memories of the fun we had.
Right.
It was
right.
It was a lot of fun. Oh, we saw so many things. It's too much to talk about, really.
Right. Right.
But one thing that I did do, instead of buying a bunch of stuff, well, I got my bracelet thing, but every place we went, there was a book.
Oh, right. You're the book lady. You bring back books.
And they're not big. They're they're only about this thick, but they have the important things in them.
Right.
And I did buy a book, a little paperback about the history of Scotland.
Yeah.
One other thing I forgot, and I wanted to say, in all of the castles that we saw, in all the countries, something that really impressed me is they all had a library.
Right, they do.
And especially in Scotland.
Yes.
Even the old castles had huge
libraries.
Like whole walls full of books, and then they'd have a glass thing protecting them.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of our poets and writers came from Scotland.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Very good.
And you too.